I'd first of all like to acknowledge we're on not all Ngaminya country, and to pay our respects to the traditional owners, past, present, and future. And also to welcome all of you to this wonderful exhibition that has been superbly curated. I can see perhaps most of the people here have been here before and seen the exhibition. And that's very important because we want this to be a really general discussion where people are going to ask the questions they haven't had time to ask before. Hopefully, people will, Fred will remember if you're referring to a painting, which one it is, or at least have a very good idea. So think in general terms about talking about those, but also talk about the issues that Fred drew attention to yesterday. And I won't say what they were, because obviously Fred is going to be able to say what they were, and elucidate aspects of his wonderful talk that he gave yesterday. I will just say a few very brief words about Fred, just in case there is anyone here who wasn't there yesterday. And we're very, very lucky to have Fred Myers here from New York University, a silver professor, which doesn't refer to the colour of his hair, which he shares with me, but for a more individual relationship that New York University has with people named Silver, I mentioned.
Correct.
Yeah. And he's someone who, for a period of really 50 years, hard to believe, has worked with Pintupi and other language groups in Central Australia, in particular at the community of Papunya and Yayayi and Kiwirrkura. So Fred has been working there for a very long time. And Fred has known people from way back who did these paintings, and their children, and their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. And really involved really in the movement of Pintupi art from Yayayi at a time when nobody knew that there was such a thing as Pintupi acrylic paintings, or paintings on canvas, or paintings on boards, to one where suddenly they in a way they follow Fred back to New York. I've never thought of saying that before, but so Fred has been involved in this for such a long period of time. He's written wonderful books. Pintupi, I'll get it wrong now. Pintupi Country, Pintupi Place. Self. There you go. I said that.
Don't feel bad. I sometimes get it
wrong. Painting culture, which is very much the core book on the Western Desert art movement, I feel. So I'll say no more, because Fred is going to introduce his co-speakers. I'll find myself probably standing up quite a lot. I'm a restless person, but also I will be looking for people to bring into the discussion. So at this stage, over to Fred.
And have all these paintings up while we're sitting here. I'm going to just introduce you, for those of you who maybe weren't here yesterday. We're really very fortunate. Papunya Tula has sent us 2 representatives from the cooperative. Fortunately for me, people that I have known for a long time, I have to say, the younger people, very younger people, I knew their parents, this is different, but these were, this is Marlene Nampitjinpa, who's on my right, who's, if you were coming tonight to see the film, her father is a significant figure, and Marlene is the narrator of the film. Marlene is a painter, but also really well known for her advocacy for the Pintupi Home and Health Service and for the Purple House. She's made many appearances around the world, and also came to New York for the premiere of our film. Mantua and Nangala is here, who is daughter of another man who was senior to me, who was my uncle. Mantua is a painter who's had extraordinary success in the last few years. She had a triptych in NGA biennial, I guess, or the triennial ceremony. But equally, I guess I wanted to say they speak for themselves with a little help in English when we need it. But Mantua is very active in a program with the rangers and for educating the younger people in the Kiwirrkura community in particular about caring for country, about country, knowledge of animals. So both, it may be of interest to you, both Marlene and Mantua, I don't think they would mind me saying we're born in the bush. They're from one of the last generation of people who have, in their own experience as very small children, of course, but also through their parents, an incredible knowledge of the landscape and what there is in that place. And that is regarded now both by the heritage activities of the ranger services, but also Papunya Tula itself is a very important part of the art movement of keeping people maintaining knowledge of and access and relationship to their country, and they've been very active in that. I have, in 1981, Pintupi, who had been living off their country for 25, 30, sometimes 40 years, were able to move back to their own country near the Northern Territory border with Western Australia, a place called Kintore, named after the Kintore Range, Walytja, in Pintupi. And Marlene, who was born far west of there, is a leading figure in the Kintore community, because that's where kids are. And Mantua is at Kiwirrkura, which is another couple hundred kilometers west. Some people say Kiwirrkura is the most remote community in Australia, but it's far. So they bring enormous kinds of knowledge to us that I feel privileged to tap into when I can figure out the right way to ask about those questions. So we are going to invite you all to talk, but I thought it might be, I could start off a little bit here, if perhaps Mantua might talk, if you feel you would talk about the ranger program a little bit for them, or do you want to or no?
Yeah.
And I'll help you if you, or Marlene, I can help you if you want to train. Okay. All right.
Ranger program in Lake Mackay to take down ranger with the workers.
Yeah.
Everyone they take us, gone hunting, burning, fire, you were making Nino,
Chakura, Bandicoot?
Chakura, everything we looking after very well on a ranger. Yeah. But
I'll just do can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I've got a loud voice. Mantua's talking about the ranger program. They have an IPA, Indigenous Protected Area, which has also employment for many, especially some of the younger people. They take them out bush, and they all go out bush. They go as far as Lake Mackay, the giant salt lake that's out there. That's a home country for many people there. They're particularly interested in transmitting knowledge of the animals in the country, but they're particularly focused on certain conservation projects. The bandicoot replenishment, I'm sure there are many kinds of bandicoot, we're not going to get into that beyond my expertise. Chakura, a skink that is an endangered species. They are monitoring the existence of these animals with infrared. I mean, there's a lot of technical knowledge. They're also actively engaged in, I guess, what people call cultural burning, which is just called burning off the landscape, but understanding the seasonal circumstances, the wind conditions, and so on. They're going out there. I've seen them with the gasoline torches to set things with small patch burning that they're doing. So this is the younger people, the really younger people, really don't have a mastery of the knowledge of country and the time and do it, and the older people are doing it. It's quite amazing. I will just say, add on, that many of the leaders of this are older women who are incredibly fit and have continued hunting and have that kind of knowledge that other people don't have. So even the school will take the kids out bush, and somebody like Mantua will go with them, and they have kind of two-way learning to the names of the animals and so on. They use some kind of Western techniques, but also how to track them, what their habits are. So it's crucial. Well, they put the scat of the various species in a plastic bag. They actually are actively involved in trying to reduce the feral cat problem. That's probably gorier than you want to hear, but when they trap the cat, they kill the cats, they hunt them, and they're able to, when they disembowel them, to see what they've been eating and what's going on. So it's really an interaction between these conservation projects and also indigenous knowledge that people, and the people who are working in these communities are incredible. Rachel Paltridge and so on, you have a lot of people who are working there. And that is separate from the painting movement, but it's also where the knowledge of country is replenished. I thought we might just, if you don't mind, since you're already talking.
Which is putting camera thing for cat and things going to go. It already was sitting there with the phone,
So they find the burrows, right, of where the animals are, because that's what people do. They track them, and they find a burrow where they know that there are animals there, and they set up an infrared camera. And they see what's coming in and going out. And there are lots of them, right? And they monitor them how often? Pretty often. They just found a night parrot.
Yeah. We they went down in the lake outside, they go and they see him, that listen. They will
sound,
that man, Yeah, when I write down.
So they learned to track to find the sound, and I think this is the 7th or 8th.
With the camera,
Yes, the night parrots become kind of a quest for the Holy Grail in Australia. Thank you. So I thought that would be relatively unfamiliar to many of you, but it's it's a significant source of employment for people out there, and it's one of the ways in which the younger people are acquiring this kind of knowledge. Many of them are also becoming painters. So as they get older, I don't think it's so much the younger people.
Paint your jacket.
So I thought maybe if we might just even talk a little bit about some of the paintings that you've done in the show. Do you want to? Your turn. You'll talk first. Okay. So each of them has a painting in the show, and they also, see if they want to talk about, and then we can get to them. But Marlene has one around the back here.
Mine there answered. They were welcome. Yeah. I mean in Japan and Yayayi a long time. I was young girl. I used to. I don't know that camera was taking power on me. I was shocked. I went to America, New York. When I pushed the lift, I jumped my father all the way from lift to the room, and with all the people waiting, and Chapanam said, can you open up that door? A lot of people, thousands of people. I was nearly heart attack in New York. My teeth got. I was nearly heart attack. A lot of people waiting for me inside. Anyway, we had a good time in America. What went off was Japanese Fred. Yeah, anyway, I met him. Tjapaltjarri staying with us in Yayayi. I was a young one. But I didn't try to put the camera because I don't know the camera. We're living in a long time, 1959, but I born in 1959. Well, where will take me when a big truck last Pintupi. And I grew up in the Papunya Way school. I used to run my object from school to slow cutter. And this one to Irrututu cutter. We'll run away and grab my donkey. And we'll come. And the donkey, 4 girls jumped on the donkey, we'll come push with this man. All the girls will run away from school. We're frightened because it's not our country in Papunya. We didn't learn, because a lot of people were there, Walbury, Pitjara, mixed up in Amherstburg language, Tibetan language. We come from bush now. Pintupi people, we're really scared. We'll school. And we're sitting in the low house in the West Camp. They didn't give us house. We're living in the Ampies with a tent in the West Camp, West side. Anyway, they gave us flour and sugar, clothes, giving meals, naked people, welcome to the Papunya. And we looked at Lumbra, another windmill there. Come and after that second one, come back to Papunya, we went to Yayayi. We met Japanese young man living with us in Curran, fixing all the painting. We love people painting. Yeah. And that's why we're painting our own country. We come from bush in the Canberra, that's the true, the land, painting, country. When they're painting there, we're putting all the stories. Well, this is what rock on. We from this country. My country, I born my country, Ngambi. I born Ngambi. I born in the Kiwirrkura. No water. Mom and my father and other people used to take the chokes, water come up. No food, other people. Yeah. They're living no trousers. We're living with a bush tucker. Running with a stone. Like a chutney, we're living like that.
Grinding seeds.
Yeah, grinding seeds. Riding there, we will sleep in them. And the cave in place called Marrapinti area, and the cave, the cave, Walla Walla. Yeah, we sleep there raining time. Mom used to take me little girl from big rain coming. And we'll find a Walytja driving from Alice Spring, trading road to Newman, fixing road, Carapas from Alice Spring. And when people would see them naked people, oh, Mom was there, people, all run away everywhere, naked people. One gonna become a tractor, you know what they call them, rider. And he has a bit to the rider, we bring to Alice Spring, and that's why he's coming pick us up with a truck, big truck, Land Rover, everything. And there, that place in Kiwirrkura, they give a jam and cooking flour, honey and clothes. They put them in the truck, bring to Papunya. That's why we went to Kiwirrkura. That's our country. That's why painting doing our country. But you know, that's the story of our land. I'm not born in the hospital, I'm born in the bush.
Thank you. Well, that's the story of the last wave of Pintupi people coming in. So some reference for in the whitefellow history, that was Jeremy Long, was a patrol officer, very well known to this community. What made this last wave possible was the gun barrel highway putting in this, which was related to rocket testing, which suddenly they realized that testing the rockets out in the desert, in Marrapinti was before. That was the atomic, but the rockets, the blue rocket, I guess it was called, what was it called, Blue Streak. They were flying over this area and couldn't think of that there were actually people still living there. So the welfare branch hired people to go out and communicate with people and tell them what was going on. That was what brought people in. And Marlene says 1959, around that when she was born. Jeremy Long has photographs of her and her family when they were coming in. But the story of Papunya is really a crucial one, which is that.
And I met him here in Canberra.
Yes, right.
Canberra.
They had a significant discussion.
I heard him bad luck in Sydney.
Yeah.
He sent me to Alice Spring and they bring me to Kintore. Journal was, but I met him in Alice Spring with a big son.
Yes.
I went to visit in Canberra.
Yeah, Jeremy was a long time Canberra.
And he went to Sydney. He went back to the Sydney.
He went to Sydney.
And passed away.
So the story here is that in Papunya, the Pintupi who were coming in were outsiders. They weren't living in their own country. And you get a sense, already Marlene's explaining to you, they didn't feel welcome. That's why they kept running away from school. They were also probably on the truant side anyway. Well, they're young people, they're really bush kids. And kind of sitting in school and putting up with that was not really, where they just found a donkey and off they went. And so I have to say you were very popular with the teachers, Mrs. Christie and so on.
You are.
But they were always, what we're saying is, they were always looking out. And when the connection here is when they're painting, when they started painting in 71, which is not necessarily initiated by Pintupi, but for Pintupi, what really mattered was they were painting their country, which was still in their minds. Out there in all the places, the experiences, the knowledge is all in those paintings, and those stories are there. They had an opportunity to kind of, not only in ceremony, but in part of their everyday, they loved sitting down and putting these stories onto any form that they could find. And so then government did recognize that they were unhappy there. There was a lot of illness. They first moved out into a smaller community. Was what was it? Not Walytja. It was there were a couple of them. And Yayayi was successful in 1973. They initiated the move there to go, and they kind of forced the government, which was holding back. And they lived at Yayayi. Yayayi was still not their country, but they were painting, and even at that time, I remember when I sat down at Yayayi with Uta and Walytja, they said, we're painting these, we don't want white people to take our country. We're painting the stories of our country. Walytja had a lot of experience. He said, this is our country. And Uta said, I want to get a bore of water out there and move back out there. So always that was connected to these stories and the knowledge of the country. And so eventually in 1981, Marlene was in the first group that moved out there. They just got in a truck and went, really, after the water was there. And I was saying yesterday, but I'm remembering with Marlene, Marlene was a young woman with a child, a baby. And when the filming was done for settled, she's my mother. The people went from Congress to check on the health significance, and they wanted to say that living in country was good. And they went to film. David Batty, by the way, if you know him, was the camera person on this. And Marlene was the translator. So she's,
Settled Down Country.
And Settled Down Country was the film. And they have the nursing child, and she's translating. The old men didn't speak much English. So they have been actively involved in the development of an autonomous or an independent community out there, which has also had a lot of support from the art movement. So by 1981, when people moved out there wasn't a store or anything. They used to just drive in and sell it off the back of the truck, right? They had only a hand pump. We had a photograph last night. We were looking at Marlene and Mantua are both in it. There's only this hand pump. That's all there was. They're having this in a shower at the hand pump. Right. That's how determined they were to be there. And Charlie Perkins went out there after they got some money from the government to build a store there. And Hetty was remembering, and Charlie went out there. He was to say that I'm giving you this store. And so on, and they gave him paintings to take back.
Charlie McMahon, Charlie McMahon, one hand.
Yes. So this is another Charlie,
Charlie McMahon.
Charlie McMahon, who's the didgeridoo player from Gondwana land.
Yeah, he's in Bloom, Sydney.
Yeah.
Bloom Mountain.
He was a person who went out to help build Kiwirrkura, the next community. So
that man been take us.
Yeah.
No sister, no panya, no doctor. Charlie McMahon help us, and we cleaning that grass and burning, making a spray with a shovel for the helicopter can land it for sick one. Here it went Kiwirrkura.
This is how determined people were to return to their own country, and it wasn't enough for some people to be at Kintore. They also wanted to be out at Kiwirrkura, which is another area, because they were concerned that the mining companies were going to go in there and disrupt things. And so those are the two significant communities, and who are the source.
Only we got one man, only Charlie McMahon, in that Kiwirrkura.
So he was.
And all lives and young people will helping. Clean Karamulla spray, make a spray for landed for plane, because we Mount area and Western Australia, no one help us. Only Charlie McMahon was working, a young man. And we're building now, stones with a trailer, stone.
Yes.
Stone.
Yeah, they basically quarried their own stone.
With a trailer, because we got no houses.
So that's
the rocks and fixing store. And we'll find them bush people now by Our Lady.
So we're going to tell the rest of the story?
Walytja. Walytja is finding where this one must be.
Here.
That one.
So
we find them. Our Lady, Papalyantjaku, Walytja, Chakiriya, Yukulji is finding there somewhere. Yukulji is finding this, we find bush people.
Yeah.
We'll meet back to Kiwirrkura and we'll meet him family. If we'll see them bushfire, but families make a bushfire. And Mantua and me working elsewhere in that caravan. And Charlie yeah, that used to be Babylon, but that might have Babylon. That was our clinic. That one. Anyway, we'll Mantua and working elsewhere. No sister. Charlie used to come and help us in the radio.
So,
checking.
There's a great story. So they moved out to Kiwirrkura about 1983, and the next year is when the so-called Pintupi 9, which is they call the bush mob, came in, and they knew who they were. They remembered that there were people who had been living out there who never came in. And
You are called last Pintupi, your
Yokochi's painting is
big brother, Walytja.
Pintupi 9.
This one.
Pintupi 9.
This one, Yokochi is by
Last map.
and Walytja is by there. They come to Kiwirrkura. We moved today from Kintore to Kiwirrkura, sitting around there in our own country. Mantua and me working elsewhere, and Charlie McMahon. That man was white man was one hand, but he's broken, but a walk, always for a crocodile skin and with a walk.
hook.
He
had a
with a land
prosthesis.
Anyway, that man will help us to elsewhere. And we go hunting every time we see a bush by someone might get that bush by, but that family was coming to Kiwirrkura because they listen sound with the car, and plane used to land in Kiwirrkura. And they coming close to us. That was living in a place called Marwa. This side like Mackay. And they come to walking this way. First they walk to the wind park. You know the Nungurrayi place called wind park? 3 men.
2 men.
3.
2 men.
Thomas, Pinchinada.
2 men.
Man Walytja.
2 men.
2 men Walytja. Yeah, they come naked. But that place was between hand pan. Lying on the top of the hill and looking down. And one man with 2 young men, all Pintupi. And his brother, Nangala, all Pintupi used to paint her. Anyway, they went to turn to that hand pan. They're sitting tired, blood, can get light, naked people coming with a spear to the hand pan. And they're all Pintupi. They said, "Give me a can, run, bring that can, I'll shoot him." He got a big noise gun, big can. All Pintupi, all men shoot him a scar. After people they see them 2 naked men standing with a spear in the hand pan. And that will run away. That man now painting that one, 2 naked men, and this one. You are fighting for Walytja. You see them in the wall painting everywhere. This one, you put this one. Yati. Another one there, Yati, who the sister, they come from bush. Yeah, we'll find him in Babylon. Find him on the country, the true story. We're traveling long way to find him. That's why we bring stories. You are?
But maybe we'll ask if people have any questions.
Well, yeah. Have we got another microphone, or is this
Yes, that's right.
No.
It's all right.
Okay, so it's time to open up the questions. But I think the point that we were hearing there was that in this drill hall gallery with all of these paintings around here, suddenly we're able to hear the history of 50 years of people living in this place. We're actually able to walk around here and actually see places that are hundreds of kilometers apart, but which are in people's minds and were transported by painting, by singing in this particular way. And we're beginning to get an understanding, I think an incredibly rich understanding of how people and place and history weave together, but also in terms of people's personal lives. And that's something you'll be able to see when you see the film as well this evening. It's a really good time now though, for people, if they have a question that they
I want to say one thing that you just said. I'm just going to say, Howard just pointed to, you hear that every one of these paintings reflects personalities and people and stories that they are all sharing with each other, and so that that's who Walytja is. He's part of this history and this story and the places he brings to us. Kiwirrkura story about the people coming in from the bush got a huge amount. I want to add one thing. They did not let the health department come in. They insisted on, and these two, caring for the people as their own relatives, and did not want to have interference that the Department of Aboriginal Affairs was trying to impose on them.
Now is your opportunity to ask the questions that have been in your minds. I have lots of questions, but I'm not going to ask them. We'll start off
Oh,
with
Libby.
you.
I remember Libby. Chinese.
You were, huh?
Libby Fan.
You are Chinese.
I'm wondering about the younger generation of painters coming through. If you could talk about a little bit more, how their work is responded to or influenced by those who came before them.
You want me to?
Yes, this is, the question is how younger people are responding and remembering what is happening or what's happening to younger people today.
Well, I can, that'd be a hard question to put to them directly, let's see. But I will say, if you look around here, there is a generational passage that you can hear. So I think they have some paintings from Catherine Nakamara. Her father was a first generation painter. She's got some work here. And you can see there, you might have something from Eileen Nampitjinpa, who's Wartima's daughter. They really are taking on, there's another one, I just was, I can tell you the story actually. Because we had an exhibition opening at the Australian Embassy in DC. And two younger people came from Papunya Tula. Jodie Ward, who's Yakulchi's daughter, who doesn't paint really, or not very much. And John West, Jubarula, whose father was Freddie West, who has that painting in the show here. And John had just done one or two paintings, has not been to many of these kinds of openings. And when he went back to Alice Springs after this experience, he asked for larger canvas, right, to start painting. So that there is, it depends on people's inspiration and confidence to do that. And maybe, would you like to speak to that? We have somebody who works for Papunya Tula. Come on. You are.
So we've got like...
Roseanne is a representative.
We've got multiple genres, like 3 third generation painters happening now. So Rambo is like building off his grandfather's paintings, who's Patrick Tjunarrayi, and then his father is Reginald Tjunarrayi. So Rambo's been looking at his father's paintings, looking at his grandfather's paintings, kind of working with the stories that he's, that they use, but also using his own sort of mark making and building, just playing around with his father's and grandfather's ideas and building on those. Yeah.
Okay. You mean to do this? No.
Say something? We are Palyantjaku. You are Mantua by the Kinaraj Batar. Mantua is binding Curran.
That big one that you might finding in Marrapinti. That's for we doing it as secret. That mine one canvas. the whole. That's mine. Yeah. You.
You want to tell a bit of the story?
Another old campus moving around everywhere. And all the big ones. Yeah. Sitting round. I see him around.
Oh.
I don't know.
About like Tjuntulpul story.
Yeah, Tjuntulpul, that Marrapinti. All mine.
Padahal mulya ko darpan.
They put a bone through the nose for young women.
We put on nose. My mom used it from Curran.
That's why she's
Clean them from
doing it
wood.
on the big ones. They're moving around everywhere.
Long time in the wood.
Yeah. The big ones, and the little ones, they're gone.
But this is a woman's story.
Yeah, that's all women's, me not gonna.
Not Lord God, that place.
Not me?
Nah, that Marrapinti, sacred place.
Secret place.
And PK. We
You
look
are.
at the standing. We sleep there raining time.
You are Mulla. Panchunanya stick, Brahma spear stick, you know?
PK.
Marrapinti. Long time.
The women are mostly painting stories that belong to them, inherited rights, but also of the stories that are related to women's activities and stories. So this is obviously for them a very important place. It's a place that only some people can go to. And there's a cave. Sometimes in the paintings they show the cave, and sometimes you don't see it, but it's.
I'm interested in learning a little bit more about the arrival of acrylic paint as a medium and what acrylic paint made possible, and in direct reference to the previous discussion, what role acrylic paint made possible for women to increasingly take charge of painting in their entirety in their own right.
Well, I guess that's for me. I think that, certainly when they were at Papunya to start, they used other, traditionally people used ochres. If you don't know, that earlier on when various anthropologists and others engaged with Western desert people, not only Pintupi but Papunya and others, they used butcher paper, and they often had them use crayons, and they'd say, "Can you draw your country?" And they would, using the kind of framework that people used in telling their stories through sand, marks in the sand. They drew these ancestral connections, especially the places, the Ngura, arrayed in space. These are in many museums now that have them. They look very much like some of the early paintings. I think that Jeff Barden, for example, was interested in those for various reasons. That's not the source of the work for people like Kappa and the Ainmajura painters in the beginning. They already had interaction with the tourist market for other kind of work, but also with Albert Namajira, who they knew. So they were doing their work with whatever materials, poster paint and so on that they had. What Barden realized was that the medium of acrylics was manageable. It dries quickly. It can be mixed for color, but it doesn't require the kind of knowledge that oil paint. I think I would probably be better if Iggy, who is a painter, and Marina, and who've worked with the artists, might be able to, if they'd be willing, to tell a little bit, because Marina ran the early workshops with the women painting, And what I know about them, it would be through her. She's written about this. Would you be willing to talk? Okay. Let me just. We're very lucky, as I said. You know, we have an audience of experts. This is Maria Strachey and Lane Eager, who have worked with many of the painters in the Papunya Tula orbit.
The poster paints that you were referring to, they're actually gouache.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to come in a little glass bottle. And again, you know, poster gouache.
Yeah.
So that was water-based and, you know, dried quickly. But people were painting on all sorts of flotsam and jetsam, you know, like old tiles and bits of wood and whatever they could find. But then acrylic paint was obviously the best. Very, very good.
As gouache and poster paints, they can melt with water, so once they're dry, they can be messed up again with each water spillage. Whereas acrylic sets hard, and that's it. You can roll it on the canvas, and it's much more durable.
And the canvases, once they're rolled up, are very portable, so you know you can. But there was something lovely and delicate about the use, Johnny W's use of gouache in those very early paintings, because you get a subtlety and a depth that you don't really get with acrylic. You get a completely different painting, really. And for women, like, well, it's wasn't the traditional men's company. It was called a men's company from the beginning, and then I don't know what year women's. Sometimes women painted on the men's canvases, didn't they?
Yeah, wanted to ask him.
If they were asked to.
George Nungurrayi's family used to work on his paintings.
Yeah, so women worked on the men's paintings, and then the number of women started to do their own work.
One country.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's that?
Because they now they come from one country.
All of one country,
Yeah.
one family. Yeah. But eventually the women wanted to do their own work. And Wayne and I had set up the Art Centre in Harts Bluff in 1992 at the invitation of the community. And it was not long before the Kintore women, we became friends with the two old Nampitjinpas, because they were visiting Italy at Harts Bluff, or Pintupi was, Walytja. And they sort of seconded me to do a project really at Kintore. And it's a long story, but eventually we did this big project for a week, and then with oversized canvases, because Mrs. Bennett, she wanted everything supersized. So she wanted a big canvas, big, not little, big. So being literal, I got the 3x3 meter canvases up, and we did the project. Nungurrayi. Big. It had to be big.
Yeah.
She was big, personality. And then the women all came to Harts Bluff for 2 weeks after that. That was in April, and actually the Nampitjinpas had their cataracts removed by then, with the Tjapaltjarri and Pintupi. The 4 of them had gone on the army plane, and they had a new lease of life and a new career as artists. But so 94 and 95 we're talking about. So 95, we did the second part of the project at Harts Bluff, and they all came. Riley Major brought everybody in the football bus. It was chaos. We killed the cow, and then the Nampitjinpas arrived late one night with Rachel, because they've been out looking for Bilby, since in their 70s. And then from there, Papunya Tula picked up this particular group of women at Kintore who were dancers and very highly into culture and ceremonies. So
you just see how generations and new people enter into it. But those old ladies, those are the mothers of Turkey Tolson. Yeah. Yeah, and they, what's most interesting about them is what Marlene said, is that they were very active culturally, very active, and older and very knowledgeable and very demanding. I mean, they had a lot of, strength to carry this forward. But I think the issue of the acrylic was settled as the only medium that worked, and those women started to paint at a time when most of the men were failing. But I actually don't see that, only some of them are in the show here now. So even some of the people that were mentioned by Marina, like Mrs. Bennett, she's actually painting not for Papunya Tula now, but she's part of that group. She's painting for maybe Tupula.
At that point.
Yeah, but so that some of the people who began painting in one place, they're represented by other. Is she there? Yeah. So you'll see them in other sort of frameworks because that's where they're living now.
There will be time for just a few more questions, and I might say something in relation to that last question we had, which brought in all of these sort of discussions about design, form, material, medium, and scale, and these are all questions that have to be answered when you look at the really long-term trajectory that people are part of. So people were using many, many different media, including the media of their body through dance and things like that. And they were also acting on very, very different kinds of scales, producing designs that would be on very small objects that had reference to really large areas of landscape that would be then performed in dance arenas in which the ground sculptures and things like that would occur, and doing very many different kinds of media. So people became experts in the technique of working, creating things, of understanding the aesthetic potential of everything from flowers to soils to the shapes of natural features and so on and so forth. And this is a very general kind of thing. So it is completely remarkable the way in which I think Indigenous Australians can adapt to scale in ways that are quite remarkable, from the tiniest object to something that has a sort of vast scale. And so walking around here, you actually have the opportunity to look at paintings that are really, really tiny, just looking around this particular room to ones that are immense. And people then, of course, their practice relates to the difference in scale and the kind of media that people employ there. So that's a really interesting question, sort of great sort of answers that provide a lot of that kind of context. Now, good. I was talking until I heard a hand coming up, and this is almost the last hand that we're ready to see.
Hello, thank you so much for travelling so far away and sharing this wonderful knowledge. This is a question from Andrew and Marlene. When we display the paintings, what are the things that we should watch out for, that we shouldn't put together, or places they shouldn't be? I've heard a lot of things from other people, but I've never heard directly from the artists and the mob themselves. So I would really appreciate your sharing. Thank you.
She wants to know what you want people to see in the paintings when they come to look at them. Like, what do you want to, what are you showing to people? What do you want them to see? Like they're all coming here to look at the paintings. What do you want them to see in the paintings? To look at them?
Yeah, this painting, you see today on the painting here, because they're painting the country. They're not painting with a brush, they're painting with a little stick. But we cut it with a stick with a little knife, like a small stamp, and we paint it. All the old people know they're painting with sticks, little one, like a match stick. That was painting with brush, trees and hills. That painting with the land. When they pour from this land, like Walytja come from that land. A lot of sand dunes. And my uncle's painting is Nancy Nungurrayi. She was painting. And now Naata, he painting area Chokola, between Tjuntulpul and Tjuntulpul. Naata.
She's from Chokola.
Bamboo area. All this painting, and Papunya Way is painting. Parts area. Painting place school. Keep what that wind park area. Tjuntulpul. You are Tjuntulpul. Marwa. This one, Karrilwarra area, not a sand. When you're flying in the air, on the flight long way, you can see lovely smooth, lovely color. When you fly, town, like painting like a map. All this one, our land, our country, Tjuntulpul, and sand hills. And Mantua, she's painting the land, country. Marrapinti, and painting this one, Mars, Kintore running and sleeping. Chungi by the Mars, Kintore was on Aboriginal, and Mars. Tree, this idol. And Rai James, Mantua's brother. She painted this one. Rai James. But we'll skip that. We come from desert, we'll Chakamara, Nakamara, Japananga, Napanaga, or Nangala. We got a skin line. Yeah. We're born with skin line. My mother is Nungurrayi, my father is Nangala, my uncle is Nungurrayi. All skin line. That's why I want to grow skin line in Canberra. Doing our country. Tjuntulpul, fighting the land, free dissident. I think we telling us we come from this one country, I travel in another country. I doing my painting. I tell them I bought this Ngaminya, this is the Walla, sit run with them. Rainy time, when the rain fell in the garden, Ngaminya, take the Tjutakku. You are Tjutakku or oiling like Tjutakku because no rain can dry. We took living with the Tjutakku water. And with the rainy time, we went to Marrapinti, everywhere. Because we got no blanket. We'll make fire on the cave, keep us warm. We'll put leaves, barca, breaking from leaves, make a bed and sleep. No blankets, naked people. A lot of food there in the Pullman. Tjutaku, Canberra, Yayayi, every Manga, everything, and Yarga, Pushani, you are Push Padaida, welcome Gichara, that's sweet Padaida, and the other side will be the Tikta with the Groba, sweet Padaida.
So one of
everything. I'm still alive.
That's the one for your painting on the other side there.
Mine's the other side.
Yeah, so one of Marlene's paintings is a small square one on the other side there. You can see all that in there.
You are my country.
Yeah.
Ngaminya, Marrapinti, Karrilwarra will walk around Katam with mom. At last, all my family been driving in a truck. We seen up that land was nothing. My mom's sister Naata Nungurrayi, and Naata's finding some Madana, big place there. I went to see him yesterday. My mom's Nancy Nungurrayi. My mom's brother Kenny and Titi, another one, but that will pass away with a kidney, 2 kidney. My brother, my cousin brother. We're from one father. 3 kids will sitting on the tree. My mom and my mom's big sister. My father went to hunting long time, no shoes, with a swim ring, with a spear. We went to get some food for Kuka for us, for Kawana, auntie. That was our time. Mom said, you must sit down there in the big shade in the tree. We'll come looking for your father. I went to find him. She ate it and come back to us. My father died under the tree, dry tongue, no shoes. And my mom went to early looking for my father. I find him under the tree. Anyway, we went together, mom and me. Mom didn't come back, nothing. And we said, what happened? We didn't realize he might cry. We cry. My brother Kenny, big brother, cousin brother, my cousin brother again, Titi, me. I was a little girl, look at me. Anyway, he didn't tell us. I gave a secret. He might will cry, ask me. We'll start walking to Papunya, following where our people born. We'll walk following that road to Papunya. When Gina cheered him along, my brother was standing in the road with a spear, place called Mandadi. And Walytja gave him water, and she was run away. We ran away, drinking that Walytja drinking water. My brother was looking, trying to give her water. But he come back to the cycle and run away. And we're sitting in the twin door, like big, on the poly. We had water there. He come and tell us, oh, seen a white man, Mamo. They call him Mamo.
Mama's a
Mamo,
demon.
you're not told for anything of white one skin. We are what you are. But we didn't window to the road. One fellow window looking for another people, but nothing, they're empty, all gone. First one in the truck. All we meet him, other people, na Yala Gibson map in Manly Beach. Yala Gibson sparing with a spear, full of cow in Manly Beach, and we're drinking blood, water, copy, blood, when the Pullman. When the Pullman, cow in the Pullman, sparing this one with the former spear. We are a good time, other family, our Ngura, Yala, and Norris, Tjapaltjarri.
big son. Papunya Gibson. Morris Gibson is painting some papers. I seen him in the gallery, other one.
Yeah.
Yayayi will swing walking right through the Pupanyi, following our people. They were little drunk. We've seen a lot of people in the Pupanyi. We're really scared. We try and go back to West. And because little, not
Yes.
little, they sit there.
They got their vaccinations. So I'm just going to, I know the question that led to this, I think the answer is complex, that you need, the paintings are full of knowledge of country, of people. It's what it means to be, you can see that. And to respond to the paintings, as with any art, actually requires some effort on people's part to learn something about what's in it and what it, and Marlene just told you what's in that painting from her relative and how, and what's in it for him when he's painting. So I think that, I think we're always trying to say this in some way. It's not any easier to understand Pintupi painting than it is to understand Renaissance painting. You really have to do some work to understand what people have put into it.
Yeah. And that's a great question. Although it was quite a short question, it had the most amazing answer. And sort of reflecting on the sort of work that I've done, somewhat completely different in North East Ireland. A great younger artist who was doing some painting, and I asked him the meaning of that painting. He looked up at me and he said, "One small line, too many meanings." But those meanings come from the knowledge that people have in context. And I think the sort of full answer that you've got there actually shows that Pintupi people do want you to understand that their paintings is telling you about their country, about their society, about their relationship to it, and to understand that. And too often people say, as a sort of way out of talking too much about it, no, the meanings are not something for outsiders to know. And that was a wonderful demonstration of how that is actually not a Pintupi view. So I mean that question, and I think what Fred also was saying, that there is a harmony between a concept that we would have in the West of art history, and also Pintupi understanding that there's enormous knowledge behind these works of art, and you do have to look at them and learn them, and that's how that things also to generation. Look, thank you, you're a fantastic audience. Thank you so much for those incredible presentations and answers to questions. I think the audience is really feeling they know something. They really feel they've learned something. I've learned something. And I'd just like a long round of applause.
Curran has his book here, specialist on Mantua Nungurrayi's painting is over here. He's requested that we make notice of this.